Hello, lovelies. We are going to talk about shadow today. Whew. And to tune into that, I'm definitely doing a shadow reading really quick. So if this reading isn't something that resonates, just skip like 3 minutes and you will be all good in the hood. Trust me. So take what resonates and leave the rest, but I definitely suggest that you at least consider the rest. I'm just saying. I love you. Yeah, no, seriously. We're doing some really intense shadow work, and this is for the collective. So if you're not in tune with what shadow work is, I do have a shadow journal that is available on Amazon. I will leave the link in the description box below, and you can tune in and do your own shadow work through your own journal and understand a little bit more about yourself on a deeper level, because shadow work is not about destroying your ego, right? We're not here to destroy our ego. Yeah, ego death is essential for a real spiritual awakening. However, it is not what captivates the soul. It is not what's going to keep you in an elevated state of mind, and it's not going to empower you. I know, it's crazy logic, isn't it? Yeah, but your ego is actually a beautiful tool, and it is a part of your soul. It's a part of the human experience for sure. And it's really important to understand that if you really want to empower yourself, grow your self-worth, grow your bank account, and continue to live life the way you want to, because we're here for the human experience, and the human experience is about individuality. Think about that one. Now, anyway, let's tune into this reading. Well, you have been going through a lot of arguments with people, and a lot of this is caused by ego. I know, I was just talking about it, right? But, however, a lot of these arguments have really allowed you to tune in to your depth, into your intuition, your trust, and your inner guidance. So it's actually been a lot of your shadow work is going through these arguments with other people. It's about practicing and vocalizing your belief system and allowing yourself to freely express yourself without all of these like one ego attachments. I know, back and forth, right? And as well, a lot of your dissolution and the, I should say, illusion of life. It's very complex, and it's really important to understand that nobody has a real idea and real perception on how life should be. We just have a generalized, you know, right and wrong type of system. So it's important to express yourself. So don't be ashamed, don't blame yourself for these arguments, because although you have lost a lot of friendships, it's it was a part of your journey. And I know that sometimes this is really hard to comprehend. It's really hard to understand. Like, why do I have to lose people in order to find myself? Why do I have to go through all of this not even necessarily trauma, but why do I have to go through this loss in order to like understand who I am and what I want in life? It's part of growth, babe. And I know that sometimes some of these situations, especially if it's a very close person to you, like a friend, a best friend, or a family member, it can be really hard to go through this loss. However, to really truly understand yourself and vocalize who you are, you have to go through loss and experience it, because it projects who you are, and it allows you to see who people aren't. And what do I mean by this is there are people who will hide. They will project this certain person towards you so you accept them for who they are and accept them as an individual. And it's a part of their loss and gain system. It's a part of their friendship system and how they interact with other people in relationships. That has nothing to do with you. And it's very important to understand this in order to have self-growth, is that you will lose people in life who do not understand you and refuse to understand you. And if you are capable of losing those people, they were never yours to begin with, and they never truly respected you as an individual. That's okay, because if you don't respect me as an individual, you don't deserve to be in my life anyway, right? So just truly, truly tap into that self-worth shadow learning, and and really comprehend that some of these arguments were for your personal gain. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to flip these because these were not reversed. And a lot of this will teach you about personal gain, personal abundance, and the ego tool that I was just mentioning at the beginning of this video. So learn who you are as an individual and tap into your own personal ego so you can use it as a tool to help educate, inform, and produce a better way of life and living for yourself and for other individuals. Because through this learning experience and through this teaching experience, and I mean pure teaching, I don't mean indoctrination. Like, you can be a spiritual gatekeeper all you want, babe, but you're gonna lose a lot more than you're gonna gain, period. So really tap into this, because if you do tap into this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge and wisdom and empowerment of other individuals and not just yourself, you will find yourself in so much abundance. And I'm not just talking about like that daily abundance where you have gratitude for everything that you already experience in life. I'm talking about real abundance, having financial security, having family security, which means that you're capable of protecting your family. Not that you weren't capable before, but you're going to receive a lot more of your blessings, a lot more of your spiritual abundance and physical abundance, and you're going to experience a brighter side of life that does exist. If you're stuck in the shadow, if you're stuck in your shadow work, your shadow depth, or the void in particular, that's what we're going to talk about today. So we can really tune in and tap into why we're stuck here in this stagnant period, because the stagnant period is where you're growing, you're learning, and you're experiencing self-worth and self-doubt at the same time. It can be frustrating. With that out of the way, we can really tune in to the first thing that I really want to talk about, which is the void. What do I mean by the void? Because that's just so vague. It's so inherently vague, and it's as vague as it should be because of a specific reason. The void is what teaches us most about ourselves. We learn more about ourselves, our soul, and our spirit through void learning, through shadow learning. And there's a difference in shadow when I talk about this, only because, and I know this is probably going to cause arguments, that's fine. I'm not here to indoctrinate you. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a priest. I do consider myself a high priestess, but that's for other reasons. And anyway, the point of the void, the purpose of the void, is to separate yourself from everyone and everything you ever knew. It's to show you all of these projections, all of these illusions of life, all of these lifestyles that were falsely projected onto you by indoctrination. Through school systems, through politicians, and just through our entire history. I mean, if you go through any of our history, of like, especially the United States, which, you know, all these countries have a dark history. If you really tune into it, you can really understand where we came through in the evolution process. This is an enlightenment period, and we're here to experience this for a very great reason, because this is the best time to be alive. You're here to experience the shadow period, the knowledge, the void, and enlightenment and light. There are these stages of enlightenment that you have to experience to understand gratitude, to understand your personal shadow, and to perceive or grow your light. And what do I mean by that is some of us are incapable, not, okay, I shouldn't say incapable. Sorry, that's a strong one. Affirmations. Some of us have a very hard time understanding and experiencing light because of the shadow realm that is presented on Earth. So it's very, very essential to understand all of this growth process so you can transmute your shadow into a light period. What do I mean by that? Is your shadow is a tool. Your ego is a tool. The things that create you, and your mistakes in particular are a part of your soul for a reason. They teach you about yourself. They teach you about others. They allow you to put yourself first through self-worth and ego. Your ego is a tool. I'm going to keep saying it in this video because we spent time in the void for a reason. We spent this time understanding that we were the only creature in the simulated world for a very good reason, and it's to experience gratitude on the fullest extent. Now, don't get me wrong, alchemy, witchcraft, it is all just another religious perspective, another point of view. However, there are different types of shamans, there are different type of witches, and there are different type of people who experience spiritual awakenings. Don't be a gatekeeper because it's not gonna benefit you. I mean, maybe you'll have like, you know, this period where you have a bunch of followers who listen to everything you say, but guess what? You slip up once, you're gonna get canceled by everything and everyone you ever knew. That's just the life we live in with technology these days. So get your facts straight if you want to actually take this seriously, and allow yourself to learn through others, because that's what we're here to do. We're not here to just be all like, oh yeah, well, I knew that to begin with, and blah blah blah. You sound ridiculous, first of all. I love you, but you do. Now, with that aside, I really want to tap back into the void. So the void is this place where we're in our shadow element, our purest, darkest shadow element of not necessarily loneliness, but we experience nothingness. And the nothingness is what teaches us our connectivity and our connection to other things, other people, other places, and it allows us to flow with the wind. I know, it sounds silly, I'm a hippie, right? But it really allows us to breathe and experience the universe without all these anxious feelings, this anxiety that we create through fear. And tapping into that fear element and going through the fear of alone, or not even loneliness, but aloneism, where you're essentially God, right? Not necessarily, but you are the only creature that is actually in existence. I know this can sound really scary, and it can actually be a very scary experience, and a lot of people go through this experience on their own through psychedelic experience, such as like taking LSD, mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca. It allows them to kind of tune into this frequency where they understand that they are this computer mind and that everything that they see outward is projected from inside of them. And it's a part of your consciousness. It's a part of your conscious and subconscious at the same time, because we project our visualization through our brain, and the world itself was already created, and we have all of these paths to choose from because we are a computer. However, we're not necessarily as alone as we believe we are. That is the shadow period, that is the void that allows us to believe that. And although it is an essential tool for self-learning, self-empowerment, and self-growth, you can get stuck in this void. You can get stuck in the emptiness and the illusion of loneliness, because you can believe that you are the only creature that does exist, and this gives you this really convoluted mask and way of thinking. So just understand that, maybe this video reached you for a reason, because maybe you have been a little bit stagnant, maybe you have felt a little stuck, even though your ego keeps telling you that you're not. I know, trust me, I've been there too. I'm going through it too right now. Like, but I'm getting over it. I'm getting past it, and I'm going right back into my content creation, because this is how I express myself. It is how I express my light and my shadow, and it is a tool to help and guide others. For so long, I was living in fear of teaching others because I didn't want to indoctrinate you. I didn't want to project this way of life that I experience, because I want you to experience life on your own. And so much of me really fought with that, because It was really holding me back. It kept me in this fear element where I was afraid of controlling other people through knowledge because of this fear of simulation. So having that connectivity where you understand that side of you and the simulated world allows you to tune deeper into your spirit and understand that in order to experience abundance, you have to experience death. Excuse me, that car was loud, and so is this bird right next to me. The bird I can handle with. Anyway, so going through this shadow period is very important, but it gets you stuck. Not necessarily. You get yourself stuck in the shadow period, but you have to experience it in order to experience more. Now, okay, I'm gonna tap out of being redundant because I just wanted to hammer that into you. I'm sorry, I love you, but I had to hear it, and so did you. It was just a part of our day to day. Breathe. Okay, now that we're past that, let's turn right back into shadow. So, a lot of people will find themselves being spiritual gatekeepers, and I know that that's not what the topic of this video is about. There's this fine line between spiritualism and gatekeeping. So, I mean, the labels, they're going to convolute things, they're going to confuse people, and they're going to confuse yourself sometimes too. However, what I have found is, I like alchemy, I like astrology, I like spiritualism, I like crystals because they are useful, whether you believe it or not. I don't go outside in the real world without your crystals that you've charged in the moonlight and experience all the unnecessary triggers. Trust me, if you brought your damn obsidian, you wouldn't have had to deal with that day. I love you. Just try it out. I've done it before. I didn't fully believe in my crystals at first, I'm not gonna lie, until I started practicing and doing my own science and religious research. So, yeah. Define religion. Do that on your own because it has so many different meanings. There's deeper meanings to everything, and that's like the biggest point of all of this is there's a deeper meaning to a lot of things in life. In order to understand that, you have to experience individualism. So, respect your shadow, respect your individuality, and allow yourself to empower yourself through research and understanding and sometimes just accepting, because acceptance is the highest frequency you can really experience, because when you truly accept that the universe is here for you and not against you, you will be able to breathe again. I know that it can be really scary just like accepting things sometimes because you don't know what the outcome will be and you've experienced bad things before and you're like, you're stuck in this other lifestyle. Trust me, I was there too. You're stuck in this other lifestyle that was created for you and not by you. And when you understand that, you will start to understand the universe, because the universe, it has all of these shadow elements for purpose. I mean, like, just think about it logically and illogically for just a second. You like cheeseburgers, right? I don't know, maybe you're vegan, but I mean, that carrot grew. How do you know that carrot doesn't have nerves and an emotional system? I mean, have you ever seen how fungus grows? Like fungi grows, like they have like this like network, and it's so close to the nervous system, the cerebellum, and the way that they like connect with other mushrooms and communicate through like electrical energy waves and like then find the best place for them to produce themselves and grow. Mind blown experience, and it allows you to kind of connect the dots on your own without all the extensive research, and then you become able to breathe without anxiety, without like trauma attachments, and you get to understand yourself on like this beautiful level of creativity, spiritual awakening, and just overall gratitude. Like, I guess just an example, like I used to be a sour ass bitch. And I used to have this negative view of life. I had like so much pessimism, and I used to just get myself stuck in these energy waves where I was always thinking that the world was out to get me, because that's just what I went through, and a lot of us go through it because we see the world around us and we see all these people who are lost and don't have anybody to look up to, don't have anybody to, like, teach them life skills. And you get worried about like what life is really about if you don't see these things and you're not able to actually visualize them. You kind of feel like, God like left us here to figure things out on our own and wants to laugh about it sometimes. Like, you got to brush those types of feelings off, because that's not the truth. I mean, you can see it however you want to. I mean, and whatever your religious views are. It's not a religious channel, by the way. And you can project that outwards or inwards, whatever you want to do. But it's going to confuse you more than anything. And if you're stuck in this confusion state, this confusion mind, like, you're never really going to experience more, and you're just going to be working for other people. You're going to be, experiencing what other people want you to experience, and you're never going to allow yourself to just, like, step out of your comfort zone. Because stepping out of your comfort zone is the most empowering thing you can do for yourself, because it allows you to teach yourself other things that are out there on your own without having to go through a public school system, without having to go to college. And you can realize how much you can do on your own without all of these people like lifting you up and helping you financially. Like, you can literally come from nothing, and I've seen it so many times, especially in the spiritual realm, the spiritual world and community. People come from nothing for a reason, babe. They come from nothing because they experienced nothing, and they experienced the shadow realm and void, and they grew gratitude through that. And through that gratitude came abundance. But there were steps in between all of this, too. You didn't just go through gratitude and just start going into this receiving mode. You took all of those things that you learned from your shadow experience and you used them as tools to grow yourself. I know. It sounds like the basic things that you were kind of taught in school, but then got confused about all this other stuff that was useless, and so you forgot most of it anyway. It doesn't matter. You have tools, you have YouTube, you have so much research on the internet, and like through all of these like programs, these government funded programs, which funded by tax dollars, you can actually have like, instant access to this research yourself. That alone is empowering, because when you can teach yourself and educate yourself, you'll learn that, maybe there's some flaws in society. Maybe other people don't have things as figured out as they like to project onto you, and maybe you could be following somebody else's lifestyle, and that might keep you from, experiencing some things. I don't know. It's not my life. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're experiencing, but I'm just saying, like, understand these things on a deeper level and you're going to experience more. Period. Like, I just don't really know how much more I could prove that. You're just going to have to experience that. You really are, because, like, I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just here to tell you what you're capable of. That's what this channel is ultimately about anyway, by the way, if you haven't realized it already. So, go through all of these labeling systems, especially, because it's just a prime example. I was called out for being a witch today, which was one of my fears, by the way. I used to fear being called a witch because there's so much devil worshipping and Satanism attached to it because of Christianity and modern religion and indoctrination. I had this period where I talked to my mom. I told her I was a witch, and she didn't know what to say to me because she's a Baptist Christian, or I think that's how she identifies. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. She's religious, and she has religious views about witchcraft and shamanism and things like that because they were taught to her. They were, she went through a lot of her own shadow and a lot of her own growth and experienced a lot of trauma in her childhood and this God, this this Bible, it showed her more about life and it taught her more about empowering herself through like words of wisdom. And although I have my own belief systems of religious views, and if you want to understand that on a deeper level, I am not against religion. I am just here to tell you that all religion is based on astrology and it was passed down through evolution and evolution of humans and society and communities. So, like, if you want to tune into that, I have a video in the description box below as well, and it's called All Religions Are Based on Astrology. So you can teach yourself more about that, and it has resources and links in that video as well. So, it teaches you that video alone teaches you a lot about how things change, how word play changes, how word of mouth changes, and how stories change when, like think about it, like, I can't remember exactly what the saying is, but like, the word of mouth thing. Like, you used to play this game in elementary school where you would say something to one kid and then another kid would pass it down and pass it down. And then eventually it changed from what the original person said, and these kids would say other things. And either, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what the game was. If the teacher told you to say something else, or like you as a child just lied or whatever, but things change through word of mouth. Like, when we don't have things documented, like solid documentation, like, which is only really capable and like today with current technology and still has like these flaws and issues. Like, technology allows us to document this. Like, when I say something online, it's documented. It's there already. It's there for somebody to look at. It's there for somebody to understand and comprehend and like dissolve and consume. It's there. The only real form of documentation that we had was like us chiseling on stone back in the day. So just think about that and, and understand how knowledge changes through word of mouth. And that alone can give you an idea of what I'm talking about and why these perceptions of life will always constantly change around you. So, think about these things and do your own research and understand life on your individual level because you're here to experience it on a soul level, which means you are an individual. You're not here to be taught, you're not here to be indoctrinated, especially. You're here to experience life, and there's so much to experience, especially in our light period as a community and as in a collective. And I am here to help uplift all of us so we can start growing our community into a light period, because I am pretty sure that nobody wants to keep experiencing this shadow stage. Nobody wants to keep experiencing like mass shootings and all of these politicians lying to us about aliens and so many things. So, let's uplift each other. Let's try to put our ego aside when we're communicating online. I know that can be really difficult, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't argue with people online because that is your free speech, babe. But I'm just saying, like, maybe you should waste less time doing that and use your tools and your resources to create content and to help others find themselves and find life skills because, through all of this COVID, yes, I've found how much people have changed through content creation. Like, a lot of people lost their jobs or especially quit their jobs and just grew a new lifestyle and started teaching other people what gratitude is. Like, I saw this dude online on TikTok. You probably seen him. He goes around to youth on the street and he asks their parents like, hey, I'm a content creator. I make these videos and I just want to talk to this person, your child or, another adult. He doesn't just do youth. And I just want to, ask him a few questions and wonder what he wants to be when he grows up. And it allows them to like, think about these things. You get these perspectives of like younger individuals and it brings life back to you. It allows you to experience true light again. And it's just something to really respect and consume on yourself with yourself so you can breathe life back into your soul again because there's so many shadow elements through the learning stages of life that keep us stagnant. And I want you to grow from the void. I don't want you to be stuck here. I don't want you to keep experiencing all of this learning process because at some point you're just hammering the same stuff into your brain and it's like, yeah, I get it already. Can I start experiencing life again? Yeah, you can. So use what you've learned to grow yourself a business. You can empower yourself. Promise you. So I'm not just talking to you, I'm also talking to me. This is a self camera, so I'm just saying, I love you, babe. So grow out of your stage of shadow, grow out of the void because it's not, you're not here to just experience shadow and light. I mean, shadow death and shadow growing and blah, blah, blah. You're also here to experience light. You're also here to experience life. And, although things are changing, times are changing, we're going through all of this, like, oh, change of wealth, change of power, and change of ideologies. You can see them on a small scale, like how much of us have tapped out of like movies because they just don't make great content anymore. Like they've rewashed all of these stories and it's like at some point they like ran out of content to create for themselves because they were abusing so many people who were content creators and throwing money embezzlement into like movies and stuff like that's another complicated one. You can believe all of this stuff or you want, but I would do your own research on it. Like a lot of these movies and television taught us like a certain lifestyle and was like created religiously. So just allow yourself to think a little bit more freer and experience life a little bit more freer because you're not here to like keep yourself captive. So swallow that, dissolve it, and consume it because I love you and you're here to experience more. Bye.